Thank you ever so much. I don't know, is this where I'm supposed to be? Okay, I'll be here anyway. Um, I'm with you, babe. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you for all coming. It is my absolute pleasure today to have been asked to introduce a true pioneer, Dr. Mae Jemison. But before I tell you just a small sample of the incredible things she's accomplished in her career, let me take you back in time, way back, to the late 1970s. Interest in space exploration back then, I don't need these on. I think, let's stay there. Before I tell you just a small sample of the incredible things that Mae Jemison has accomplished in her career, let me take you back in time, way back, in the late 1970s. Interest in space exploration back then was at a huge high point. This was the beginning of the space shuttle program, and NASA, who was looking for a new crop of astronauts, but something was missing. That January, I gave a speech before the National Space Institute in Washington, D.C., entitled New Opportunities for the Humanization of Space. In it, I challenged NASA and everyone else involved in the space program to answer the question I'd heard 1,000 times in my travels. Space, so what's in it for me? I encountered the criticism of the program I'd heard from women, minorities, and the general public, that they had failed to ever recruit a single female astronaut or person of color. Page 2. Apparently, my speech made an impression because soon John Yardley, who headed NASA's Office of Manned Space Flight, invited me to talk. NASA administrators assured me that they had made every effort to attract more women and minorities, and they had a big problem. Precious few were applying. I suggested that by failing to ever recruit a minority to the program, NASA was telling minority candidates not to even bother applying. And I thought that I had an answer. He was on board to try. I don't need to tell all of you here at the Silicon Valley Comic-Con just how much of an impact science fiction can have on the real world of science. A lot of you are living that today. However, back then, it was a revolutionary concept. It turned out that when I showed up, many of the people there at NASA were trekkers They were truckers themselves and were their potential recruits out there still in college, high school, and homes around the nation. And because they were fans, I knew how to reach them. Over the next several months, I stopped in every major city in the country, visiting colleges and high schools, speaking and testifying before legislatures, professional organizations, technology-oriented, and aerospace corporations, and any place else that I might have a potential something. Be with you in a minute. That I would have a potential astronaut. I made a series of public service announcements and produced a film with Apollo 12 astronaut Alan Bean, good friend, to try this very important message. Space is for everyone. People heard it and they applied it. The recruits that year included Sally Ride, the first American woman to go into space, Fred Gregory and Guy Bluford, two of the first African American astronauts, and Charlie Bolden, the past NASA administrator. I went after the big guys. Seeing people who looked like them, looked like everyone out there exploring, captured people, everyone's heart, just as it had on Star Trek, including, as I came to learn there later, a young Mae Jemison, growing up in my hometown of Chicago. She was a Trekkie, a trekker, from a young age, inspired as many of us were, and saw that there was no longer a glass ceiling at NASA. Mae was a bright kid, an ambitious one ready to take on the world, as once I was, and still am. The Space Shuttle program was the era of the scientist-astronaut, and some capture and none captured that essence more than Mae Jemison, a doctor and a humanitarian. Dr. Mae Jemison entered the astronaut program in 1986 as a mission specialist. In 1992, aboard the Space Shuttle Endeavour, she became, she became the first African-American woman astronaut, famously opening a transmission with hailing frequencies open. As a woman of her calling, I didn't even have to list all of her accomplishments, but I will, because I'm sure to get a kick out of it from you and me. She was the first black woman of color. She was the first woman of color to go into space. She is the founder and president of 2 medical technology companies. She's currently leading 100-year Starship, a plan to assure human interstellar space travel to another star within the next century. I like that. She's a member of the U.S. National Academy of Medicine. She's an inductee to the National Women's Hall of Fame. She's a National Medical Association Hall of Famer and is a member of the International Space Hall of Fame and is a LEGO, L-E-G-O, figure, in the LEGO Women of NASA kit. She's also, I am delighted to say, my dear friend. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Mae Jemison.
Thank you so much. I want to acknowledge something before we get started here, that what we're seeing here with Nichelle is something that is incredibly important and impressive. So Nichelle has been my friend, even though she didn't know it, for many, many years. And that's because her work, not only on Star Trek, but just her amount of energy that she brought every day to making sure that people were included was incredible. And so I'll tell you later, somebody asked me how we met. And which is gonna be sort of unbelievable because I don't even believe we met that way, but I'll tell you how we met. But the thing I wanna tell you is this, what's important about this is Star Trek was one of our best fantasies of the future. And what she has been able to do, really what she's been able to do, is to make sure that we have been able to live toward that fantasy. So thank you so much.
Thank you.